Hello again. This is Dr. Tony. I'm here with Mike Overlie. He is my expert, my new friend on how to, us men specifically, find our passion purpose using our companion, our puppies, our dogs. And because I personally have a relationship with my dogs and I love being with them and they, for example, are my shadow at home, I want Mike to really understand, for Mike to explain to us how men especially can connect with our puppies and our dogs to make them help us see what our purpose is, what our passion is. Your website is called Dogs and Men, correct?
Yes, sir.
Good, good. He's written a book. He has his own shows he's done before too. He is my expert at this point on how to help us men, especially again, find your purpose through what we do. So, Mike, talk me through your story. What's going on? How do you get into this?
So I was typical, just kind of insecure macho guy for most of my life. Underneath that was a ton of fear, feeling insecure, scared, not enough, like forever, right? For most of my life.
Mm-hmm.
A little over 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, my older brother died, and he was kind of my hero.
Okay.
He just freaking loved everybody. I don't know anybody who didn't like this guy. He was just this big, sweet, gentle guy. So, so anyway, he died, and I grieved him so hard. But what I realized in that process is I wasn't just grieving my loss of my brother, my hero. It was all these other things in my life. And I was able to let go of so much crap that I've been dragging around for my whole life. And it made me more open and more aware. And I started noticing the most interesting things. I started noticing how angry I was, which I'm like, oh God, I didn't realize I was such a weenie all at the time. I don't need to act like this. So I've been on this voracious just appetite of a journey to try and get to the bottom. I don't know if we ever get there. That's part of the journey. To what has made me me, and why I'm showing up a certain way, and how I can change how I show up in the world. And I went from feeling like the world owed me and I deserve X, Y, and Z to, oh my God, how can I serve other people? How can I go help other people? Because this is fantastic.
Good, good, good. And what I do too, Mike, I was telling, I tell my audience, I look way to write stuff down. So I'm looking to do obviously different links here, one, too, and Mike can help people understand with your story. It's a common story for people to think about, but they don't apply it.
Mm.
They want to get help. They know there's something wrong, not wrong with them. They can change in them to make themselves a better person. But they don't apply that and look for help. You've done that. You've done the work to help yourself. Now, in my sense, you're helping other people, which is phenomenal.
Yeah. Oh, God, I'm grateful. I'm lucky. I'm fortunate to be able to do this.
Yes.
But I didn't do it alone. I don't, there's not much in this world that we truly do alone, except make choices to do the right thing.
And
So,
how did you involve your dog with your passion at this point?
so not long here, quick anecdote. Not long after
Good.
my brother died, my mom came for a visit, and she had lost two boys. She's lost two sons in her life. So, she was pretty damn distraught. And she was sitting on a couch not far from me, and my dog came over, and I watched him. He's a little pit bull mix. He's since passed also, but he crawled over to her, crept up on the couch, just this slow, purposeful, gentle movement, and went and laid in against her because she was crying, and stuck his head under her chin. And he just gave her this huge hug. And I was caught up in my own stuff. I couldn't see that she just needed a hug. And in that moment, I was like, oh my God, there is such power in these animals. Why have I not noticed this?
Mm-hmm.
And I was able from that point to recount lessons learned from other animals I had at different periods of my life, and just go, holy crap, how did I not see this?
Wow. Wow. And what were your other experience that you noticed in the past, for example, that may have led you to that I guess that insight?
So here's a funny one. I had a black lab named Miles.
Okay.
I was married at the time. My wife, Jill, and I had a black lab named Miles with another lab named Winston. Miles was an escape artist. He could find his way out of any yard. We'd take him over to a friend's house, and they said, "What's your dog doing out there?" And so he's looking for a way out. They're like, "Oh, you're kidding!" And he's testing the fence. He would go around the yard and test the fence in different places. He was fantastic, and he would often find a way out. He wouldn't really go anywhere. He just wanted to get out. So one day I got the message from him, and I didn't realize until later that I needed to get out because I was in a not so happy marriage.
Wow.
I wasn't happy. She wasn't happy. We were just kind of cruising because we were still together.
Yeah.
And after I moved out, he stopped trying to escape.
What? Wow.
I can't make this up. So, yeah. So he was, in his way, he was saying, you need to get out. Let's find you a way out.
What?
Yeah. Fantastic.
It's stuff we don't know how it works, but it works.
Mm-hmm.
And can we use that belief system to, okay, how else can it help us? How can it help us, right? How do we continue that belief system to allow further and further insights to make our lives better?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a tiny shift in perspective. Tiny shift. So think of 360 degrees. Let's say you put a rock in the middle of a circle. Each step you take, 1 degree, 1 degree, 1 degree, you start to slowly change your perspective. Now, is that rock the same rock? Well, sure it is.
Mm-hmm.
But it appears different to you depending on where you're standing at the time.
Yes.
So this is actually an exercise I do in my Qigong class. I teach at the park.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have people move and change their perspective. So they are still looking at the same object, but their viewpoint is completely different at times.
Wow. And when people do connect with you and want to get some help, what's their first questions they usually ask you? They're interviewing you. Hey, I need some help with what's going on. What are they looking for in you to help them?
The first thing that this is tough. So
yeah,
I get in several different forms. What's
Yeah.
usually underlying is the sense of frustration and feeling like they're not where they want to be in life.
Okay.
So they want to know, basically, are you off your cookie? Because, nobody's doing anything like this. And I was like, yeah, at times I am definitely off my nut. But
as we all are.
Yeah, exactly. I found something that I was able to tap into, a different realization, and it has helped me so much. And the end that we have in these situations is that the bond between men and their dogs is unlike other relationships in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So they have this love and this trust that they can share with this animal, not worrying about feeling judged. There's no comparison. They don't care if your belly's hanging over your belt, or you're cruising in your tidy whities, if you're bald. None of that matters, right? Date night isn't coming up. It doesn't matter. Your dog is just there. And there's this is deeper than just the human animal bond. I think there's something spiritual about it. And yeah, we can tap into that. Your dog can help you get there. Your dog's already in there.
And is it how have you done your research? When did dog and man first form relationships? Was it more Neanderthal times? Or was it more recent? Or when did you do research on that?
Well, there's a common number out there. Is about 26,000 years ago, we started to domesticate the wolf.
Okay.
I have my ideas on that. I think they finally went, man, these folks need help. We better get in there.
Yeah. Doesn't matter when it started. Let's focus on what's going on right now.
Yeah. It's like, okay, well, they can't feed themselves. Okay, let's help them with this. And then,
Yeah. That's great.
For thousands of years, they've been companions, right? People, we wanted to bring them close to us. It's not just this cute, fuzzy thing. There's this energy that exudes from these beings, and it's if you listen to quantum physics, everything is energy. So there's something that we desire from them that we crave that we're not able to give ourselves.
Wow.
So we bring these things. I mean, look, do you have plants in your house?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. So there's plants outside. Why do you bring plants inside your house? So just start to think about this. We're bringing these other sentient beings into our presence because there's an energy, there's something that we crave from them. So, in our society, we spend more time indoors than we used to, but we're craving that. We're missing that. We're missing nature. We're missing these other connections.
Well, a lot of it is you're getting for me the big picture is yes, I need food, I need water, I need air, but what makes me feel whole? What makes me feel relaxed? What makes me feel like I can relax and be able to be happy in my own environment. I don't have to worry about what's outside me to make me happy.
Yeah. How can I realize that I am already loved? How can I love myself and not have to search outside for whatever it is I think I need?
Mm.
There some people are very driven, motivated, and successful, and they do it from a compassionate, loving place. Others, they come from they need power, and they need to feel like they're the big dog on the block, right? They need to feel like they're this is me. I can do this. I have this much money, and and what is that about truly? If you could get
Mm.
underneath that,
Yeah.
I think there's this general sense of not feeling enough.
Hmm. Empty per se. I may have $1 million in the bank, but why am I still feeling empty? What's
Exactly.
happening there?
Yeah.
When you start talking about your program, I looked at your program and how it works out. What is the first thing you want someone to, if you want to call it, be transparent about, admit to get them started with to actually ask for help?
That they're not showing up in their life as they want to. They know that there's something more. Um, they've done well. They've worked hard. They've had success, but they're just not doing what they want to do. Something doesn't feel right.
Okay. Okay. And then once you get to that point, what emotions would you say would associate with that? Look at people that maybe listen to the show and watch the show too. How would they relate to that? What are good emotions to focus on?
A lot of these guys are super reactive,
Okay.
so they're quick to get a little grumpy. Not necessarily full road ragers, but
Mhm.
you know they they snap, and then afterwards they go, "Why did I do that? I don't need to do that." So they're feeling like they're not where they need to be in their own skin.
Yeah.
There's a sense of disconnect. Like I know this is me, but this isn't. I'm not being me. So, but there's fear around what it would take to uncover whatever that is.
Got it.
Yeah, as men, we're not taught to. We can't express ourselves. Not only are
Mhm.
we not taught not to, we're told not to. Don't let them see you hurt. Don't let them see you cry. Blah. All this macho crap that really didn't help anybody.
Mhm.
So we have a hard time expressing what we want, and we bury so much crap down. We put all these veils, all these identities that other people in society and ourselves put on ourselves, that we start to forget who we are. So
When
we've
do we
had to.
start, like, if you wanna call it, doing that, where we start putting that shield up? When does that start normally? Is that with peer groups, is that with family? What kind of where does that come from?
It starts when we're kids.
Mhm.
So probably 3, 4, 5 years old, we're actually starting to get adulted.
Mhm.
Cognitively, we're in a different place. We actually start to get contextual things, and we start to have to follow rules.
Mhm.
When we're little kids, there are no rules. When you're a toddler, there's no rules.
Yep,
So
exactly.
yeah, my rules, the teacher's rules, society, the preacher, mother, father. Everybody has their version of you that you need to respond to. And I think we start to lose ourselves at that point.
Well, you mentioned too, being some more specific, is even gender rules too, right? What's the man's role? What's a woman's role? What's a kid's role? What's a parent role?
Absolutely.
You're getting all those different type of you want to call it not even stereotypes, just what society expects, society norm, and
Hmm.
then how do you fit into that to feel one thing wanted or needed or in that society, and then from there, if you're not comfortable, then how do you reverse that and kind of rewind that and unwind that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, think about how does a guy act around his friends, his buddies, how he's up,
Mhm.
doing
Mhm.
whatever with mountain biking, drinking, whatever, and then how does he act when he's with his girlfriend or spouse?
Mhm.
Right. So right there, two distinctly different personalities.
Wow.
Right. So it's
Wow.
it's not like a schizophrenic thing. It's just this is my identity when I'm with this person. This is my identity when I'm with this person. And then when you're at work, when depending on whether you're with someone you manage or you're being managed by, those relationships are going to be distinctly different.
You put on different hats per se when wherever you are and whoever you're with.
Yep.
How does a companion like a dog help you break that down?
So what I work on getting these guys to see is that their dog knows who they are underneath all these different veils or identities or expectations. They see right through all that crap, and hell, they like you anyway. Right? So you must be actually okay despite all these stories you may tell yourself.
Wow. Wow. And how do you get someone, once they feel okay and they understand that they're okay with themselves, they're okay with you, to become okay with at their work or with their spouse or with people around them?
Ooh,
How do you
now
break that fear?
we're talking tough stuff here.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest things that I had to go through, and this is a tough one for guys to accept, is taking responsibility. And I don't mean taking out the trash or making sure you get your rent paid or your mortgage paid.
Mhm.
I mean taking responsibility for how you respond. Not being so reactive, but you have to be responsible for your emotions. And we have them; they're ours. It's okay. We don't have to justify it, but we have to take responsibility for how we put ourselves out into the world and on a deep, deep level.
And what emotions attached to that, going from being fearful to what to make them feel they can actually get to that point and communicate that and act upon that?
Great question. Most guys that I work with have a lot of really deep-seated anger.
Okay.
And it could be from, it could be from mom, but they don't want to admit it because you're supposed to be nice to your mom. A lot of guys have problems with their fathers, because fathers weren't taught how to raise their sons for the most part. So there's a lot of stuff there. I had my own stuff I had to work through.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. It's tough. But I'll tell you, if you can start to chink away at some of this stuff, chip away, oh my God, it's worth it. It's worth it. It's like a filthy window, and every time you do something, you're taking a layer of filth off, and you can see a little more clearly what's outside. And it's starting to look beautiful.
And when they start breaking down that anger, how do they now feel afterwards? What's the feeling once they get, okay, I'm through the anger. Now I feel this. Now that's in my past. Now that window's clear where it needs to be clear. How do I now? What's that new sensation? I guess people say that they feel.
There's a huge amount of clarity.
Got it. Okay.
So think it could be like a fog, right?
Okay.
You step through the fog and you're like, wow, I knew there was something else over here, but I just couldn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lightness. Joy comes more readily to a lot of these guys.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, it's fantastic. And
wow.
And you can experience the smallest thing and appreciate it. Whereas before you would might be completely dismissive.
Wow. So their perception of life around them becomes more joyful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. So, and it's what's interesting is some people find out that what they're already doing as far as their career or some hobby they have on the side is exactly what they're supposed to be doing. But they couldn't see it for what it was. They couldn't fully appreciate it because of all this other stuff going on in the background.
It's almost like their anger and their inability to communicate allowed them not to see what was right in front of them.
Absolutely.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, you're standing in front of this giant door and you think it's blocking you from where you need to be. And the key's in your damn pocket. But we forgot it's there.
And when you're working with these men, where do most men get blocked in your? I saw part of your programs that you have, and the one program you talk about different phases on your website, creating a life of purpose. Where do most men get blocked in that stage process?
That's part of his cumulative process of not knowing who they actually are. Okay. So what we work on is uncovering some of these things. a simple way to do, a quick way is look back to when you were 5 years old. What made you smile? What made you happy? Did you, love the jungle gym? Did you love to play? Was it this? Some people, who are younger, obviously it was video games, but what actually made you smile? What brought you like real joy and pleasure? And I'm not talking just eating some Red Hots, right? What really lit you up?
Wow. So basically going back to their past and going, you've done this before. And when you do that, I'm assuming the feeling of being in that environment, that experience comes back to their present mind. Now, how do you maintain that that feeling, that joy, that clarity in your present time now?
There you go. So how do you take that with you throughout your day? So there's a phrase in yoga where people get so centered and grounded in their practice and doing a routine, but once they leave, they may go flip off the guy at the corner because you cut him off or whatever. So the term is take it off the mat. So take it with you throughout your day.
Okay.
Right? How do you create that presence regardless of where you are and what you're doing?
Wow.
So that becomes the practice. Right. That's part of the journey. That's not like, oh, okay, I got my certification. Now I'm present all the time.
So it's a mind in my head right now. It's a mindset shift using your past joy in the present and practicing that shift all the time to make that your mindset in the present all the time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and a small thing that people can do right now is choose one thing a day that you do differently. So
Okay.
we're so habitual, right? We've got these deeply ingrained patterns. Like think about the way you brush your teeth. For me, toothbrush, right hand, start here, go the same
Clockwise or counterclockwise, which way do you go?
Switch it up. Seriously, you can actually start to retrain your brain when you start to de-patternize some of these things you do every day. Have a bowl of cereal. Next morning, eat with your left hand, or try different cereal. Or so just changing these habits that we have for ourselves in the smallest of ways. Take a different way to work. Take a different way home. For these guys with dogs, when you're walking your dog, let your dog lead you around the block. Next time, go left. Go to a different dog park. So there's all these different ways to allow yourself to experience something new. And what this does is tells your brain, oh, I'm actually safe.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I did something different and I'm still okay. Look at that.
Wow. It's and what I relate that to is when you're uncomfortable, when you learn to be uncomfortable as a way to find a different you, allows you to now go, that uncomfortable is okay to be uncomfortable. I want to be uncomfortable to find joy and happiness in that.
Yes. Oh my God. I'm so glad you brought that up. We spend so much time and energy wanting to feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We want to avoid these feelings. We want to avoid these situations. Look back at your entire life. When was it always smooth as glass? No problems, no issues, no arguments. Yeah, probably not for long periods of time. So look back at that and you can tell yourself, I made it through that. I'm here. I'm good. But we forget that. We forget that because we're always anticipating this next thing coming. That's going to make us feel upset or lonely or scared or so-and-so doesn't love me anymore, whatever it is. We spin these stories.
And once that becomes your habit of thinking, when I come home, this is going to happen. It's going to be bad today. It's going to be rough today. At that point, that habit becomes your mindset. Even before you hit the event, you get there, you already have the emotional set in your brain what's going to happen. And then it's harder to accept new things around you.
Absolutely. Well, and go back a couple sentences, what you just said. You're actually creating this for yourself by putting oh God, when I get there, it's going to suck. And this guy's going to, well, of course that's going to happen because you just made it happen.
And I think a lot of it is when guys find that routine, if you want to call it, of thinking and feeling that way, then their body will change to stay tight, uncomfortable physically. That becomes your normal routine also. So now their tone of voice, their shortness, their short-temperedness becomes their normal too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many men out there with, as you know, because of what you do, we create these tensions in our bodies that actually create further problems for us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we're always in this, you know, anticipatory fight or flight mode, not always, but frequently, that is creating some of the health concerns I think we have now.
Mm-hmm. And then with COVID too, being that we're in the sense of the last couple of years or so more confined, more condensed into our community, whatever we have going on almost feeds that fire, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, there's, I don't think our media is helping a whole lot. There's a lot of not great information. I'm trying to be gentle here. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear in it. They're trying to push us to do other things. So yeah, there's an author by the name of Dr. Aziz Gazipura.
Okay.
If you know him, he's a PhD.
No.
And I read one of his books. Actually, I've read several of his books. He's outstanding. But he talks about doing a 30-day media fast.
Okay.
And I tried it, and I just kept going with it because I found myself being more and more and more relaxed throughout my day, not worrying about everything going on everywhere else. Doesn't mean I'm not compassionate and don't care about what's going on out there. Absolutely not. But it was the messages that are coming through that keeps this state of heightened awareness and confusion.
So, Mike, you're saying if I don't watch the news, I'll be able to survive my day and my life with people around me and not feel like I'm not part of my society. I agree, but that's what people do out of perception, right?
Yeah, exactly. If you can, I think if you can remove a lot of the fear and constant messages about how scared we need to be, your day is going to be just that a little bit better, and then the next day will be a little bit better.
But in the antagonistic point of view, people that are that already wake up in fear and have that mindset, that anxiety of my day is already going to be rough because I just woke up today. The weather's bad. Something will trigger me. That fear almost feeds their fire to stay in fear.
Yeah.
And if that's a routine, that's where they feel comfortable. But that's where their body now breaks down. Relationships break down. Their mindset is more, if you want to call it negative, and it affects your overall health. So if you know that, if you're aware of that, people watching the show, whoever it is, can you, like you said, take a 30-day fast like Mike did and see how your body changes physically and mentally to see how you perceive the world at that point, people around you, and see how you react to people around you. Do you react differently? Are you happier?
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be 30 days. Do it for a week. I mean, if you need to know something, if it's really that big a deal, you're going to hear about it.
Mom's going to call you, right? Your wife's going to call you. Your dog will let you know.
Somebody at work will say something, whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
And working with the change the mindset of men, how much is involved in taking the dog for a walk and spending time with your dog? How does that work? How do you associate that together?
Oh, beautiful. So let's call it integration.
Okay.
So whatever, let's say there's a given lesson, that information, how do you actually apply that? Because, you know, I ask a lot of questions, right? So one of my goals is to leave you asking more questions than you actually get answers to, because you have your own answers. So how do we integrate that information? So just based on spending time with your dog, doing certain things, whether it's just sitting on the couch and petting them, when you change that a little bit, you can if you start to pet your dog very slowly, you actually create this meditative state, if you can get there. And it's this other place of presence. And then you do something different. Maybe you pet them a different way. Maybe you do something else. So it's a small shift in something that we habitually do the same way every time to integrate this information that we're trying to get through. Now, walking and moving is fantastic because you're actually using left, right, left, right, left, right. So you've got both sides of the brain working at the same time. So I encourage, in my book, it's like, okay, you know what to do. Get the leash, get outside. So at the end of the chapter, go, put the book down. I don't even want you to pick it up for a whole day. Go on, get out, go take a walk. So it's actually letting that simmer and going for a walk and integrating the information, getting both sides of your brain to talk to each other.
And give you time to kind of settle in too, right? We're getting the time to actually let it marinate and sink in versus just theory, and no application.
Yeah. Yeah. That's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is not for memorization. This is for read it, try it, go chill, come back to it later. I mean, pick up the book a week later. Just let it sit. And these are the subtitle of the book is Musings on How to Create an Exceptional Life. So these are my little whatever came out at the time. The chapters are short. There's no long, 15, 20 page chapters. They're short. Some are one's like a paragraph, but it's just it's a point. It's an anecdote. It's whatever, but it's one thing to get you to maybe look at something a little tiny bit differently.
Good. It's like you mentioned earlier, where I'm going to do it a little differently. That point, if my perception has changed, now I'm more open for ideas. So now I can actually want to do something different.
Yes, that's huge. Yeah, all these I call them 1 degree shifts, and I didn't coin the phrase. It was a woman named Charlotte Jacobs from Thrive Academy. They work with entrepreneurs and holistic healers. But she introduced this concept of 1 degree shifts, and I've been using that since, and I love it. Think about New Year's resolutions, or people they want to make these giant sweeping changes in their lives with their diet, maybe, or exercise. Yeah. Well, they go from 0 to 60. Well, that doesn't work. It's not sustainable. So it's very difficult to create a new habit, right? Around 21 days. But if you can do it in small bites, small chunks, that is way more manageable for us to do.
And with that, how long does it take someone, for example, the average man, or is it everyone's different, to actually change their habits, change their perception, and get to where they're practicing joy to maintain that on their own? What's the average? Give some an average time frame, high, low, I guess.
Well, for some guys, they never get there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a level of stubbornness that is pervasive. It's difficult for us to be vulnerable, and that's a huge point. There's a power in vulnerability, but it's actually seen as a detriment between guys. So that if we can get to that place, then we have a much more rapid succession of being able to integrate this. So some guys, they start to get it in a matter of a week or two. They're like, oh wow. So they'll notice one little thing, like, oh, this is kind of cool. I didn't realize this. Other guys they fight real hard. So it's not for the faint of heart. I mean, this is, if you're 45, you're trying to undo 40 plus years of programming, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
and with that too, how many marriages have you saved based on your program?
How many what?
Marriages have you saved? Couples?
Oh, good gravy. I don't know.
Relationships?
I don't know. A bunch.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch. Yeah, there's been some surprises. There's been some absolute surprises. Guys have turned into these warm, caring beings who can listen, who can show up and actually have a conversation that doesn't have to turn into an argument. It's like, I can be a real adult now. This is that's how my partner puts it. She goes, yeah, we have these adult conversations.
And talk to me about going back there. Obviously, guys, yes, we have to listen. We have to be able to be compassionate. But is that what you call on your website the true alpha male, or what is the true alpha male you're trying to help people get into as a man gender? What's the true alpha male?
So the traditional definition of what an alpha is this big, tough, snarling, chest thumping, attack at the ready kind of guy. And that's completely misconstrued. If people actually learned what wolves are like, and that's usually the model, the alpha male and female do not act like that. They are supportive. They are calm. Now, they will right a situation in a hurry if they think it needs to be done. But they come from a different place. It's for the good of everyone there. It's not because they're trying to prove their worth or their mettle. So they are gentle, and they're sweet, and they're loving, and they'll also put you in your place. So it's just, I don't know how we got to that place of where, it's just this, oh, me, alpha, me, alpha.
Mhm.
It hasn't done us a whole lot of good. So if people
No.
actually look into it and do their own homework and find out that, oh, that's not what a real alpha is. Yeah,
Well,
change some perceptions.
and if someone saw that and saw the characters on the website you had mentioned, that's a true leader, a true father, a true husband,
Mm-hmm.
a true business owner, someone that's compassionate to people, but also wants respect too. It's not someone who's soft. It's someone that gives mutual respect when respect is given.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't mean you're weak. We have this
No.
guys are so afraid of being seen as weak.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, no, there's an incredible strength there. I mean, a true leader has the strength to allow his people to do their jobs. And if a correction needs to be made, then you make a correction. But there's power in the ability to stand back and let others do what they need to do.
Mhm.
You don't have to always be so forceful and, oh, I'm a manager now, and I've been in that place,
Mhm.
where I manage 44 people across 12 states now. And I was really good at some of it and really horrible at other parts of it.
Well, that's probably, and not to say that it was good or bad, but that's how you're trained to be a manager. The people that you started managing before, that's who they were, their characters, their
Mm-hmm.
personality. So as a human, you go, well, that makes sense to me. If I'm like them, then I'll become a manager also. I'll
Yep.
get the respect, the prestige, the title, the badge, whatever it is, to maybe
Yep.
the income, to now be happy because I'm the manager. And you get there and go, well, why am I so stressed all the time? Why am I so angry? Why do I drink more? Why do I now have problems at home that I didn't have problems at home before? It doesn't mean, in my sense, it doesn't mean more responsibility should make you more stressed. It means how you perceive that and how do you react to that. It's like you said, to make it part of an environment to where you can work together, not high, low, good, bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But we're pushed to attain these levels and positions and these titles, and it's this competitive thing that starts
Mhm.
when we're really young, and it doesn't have to be. I don't care what little Johnny does. I hope he does well.
Mhm.
There you go. I don't have to be better than him. I don't have to be faster than him or smarter than him. I just got to be me. That's all I got to
Mhm.
do.
Mhm.
But that's what we lose. We forget who we are. And
Well,
that's what I'm trying to do, is help people remember. You're not gone. You're not, you know, it's not like you can't find that again. You just have to find a way to remember.
well, it's almost like you had mentioned a little bit ago, is there's an abundance in the world. We can both be great. You don't have to be, I don't have to be greater than you. There's not a scarcity. We can all be at the higher level. That's
Oh, yeah, exactly. There's this huge scarcity mindset. And I think that's what drives a lot of people to, want to earn more money or have, a bigger house, a faster car, to, you've heard the term keeping up with the Joneses. I think it goes much beyond that. And it's not just, oh, my neighbor got this, I got to get one too. It's if I don't have this, then I'm not enough, right? I think it all comes back to this. It's this, I feel a scarcity in my life, and I'm going to fill it with these other things.
well. And when we, at what age groups do you usually work with? What's your demographics you work with men?
Uh, Pretty much 35, is it 35 to 45?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And why do you think 35 say that's the minimum? At what point is someone in their life at 35 going, this isn't enough for me? I need help. I need to find a different way to do the rest of my life. If I'm 35, I have another, say 40, not even 40. I've only lived a third of my life. I have two more lifetimes to live at 35. How do I want to live those lives? Is that the mindset of someone at 35?
That's not necessarily the mindset.
Okay.
So the thought I run into, and it's obviously more so with the younger guys who haven't had as much life experience or getting banged around,
Mm-hmm.
they want something more. They think that they need to achieve the next thing, and that they think, this new position or this new role is going to give them that heightened I don't know, heightened societal awareness. This, so-and-so thinks I'm great. They're proud of me. Again, there's a lot of dad stuff out there. Guys are always trying to impress their dads.
Mm-hmm.
They think that that's it. This is going to make me who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to go, yeah, I've been successful already. Some of these guys, they're doing well. They're making good money. Nothing to complain about, but they think that they have to go further, go more, go higher. Maybe, like some of these guys want to do like an advanced degree. They want to get their master's in something. And they think that that's going to take them the direction they want to go, but something's holding them back. Like, no, something doesn't feel right. But they can't narrow it down.
They're almost there. There's that little thing they go, am I really doing the right thing? Or am I, why am I doubting myself?
Yeah. There's a sense that something's not right. So they think that there's something more. They just don't know what that more is. So.
Wow. And someone who, say, for example, you said is 45, what's their mindset going in looking for help with you?
There's a different level of this purpose that they want to fill, it seems.
Okay.
So there's been more life experience. There's been, some more success. Money's really not too much of an issue, but there's something else that they're feeling pulled, like something's calling them, but they don't know what it is.
Wow. Okay. And when you help them find out what it is and guide them, what are some of those things that they're looking that actually fulfills their purpose?
For some, it's a complete shift in what they're doing for their career, right? So they're more secure now, and they don't mind making that step. For others, it's something that was previously just considered a hobby or a pipe dream is now this sideline gig that it just brings so much pleasure into their life that they're actually calmer in their other roles.
Wow. And what are examples of those type of habits or things they want to do, those hobbies? What's those hobbies, for example?
Some guys want to volunteer. Mm-hmm. Me and the dogs, right? It's all about the dogs. Mm-hmm. So people want to join organizations that they can just go walk the dogs, or some guys want to do fundraising. The people, writing grants and things like that's way out of my wheelhouse. But yeah. I know guys who like to do those kinds of things, and they because they're feeling that they're being of service, and they're giving back to something else, and they're giving back to the world in another way, and that just brings joy.
It's amazing when a person, I don't care if they're, and that's probably something we learned when we were kids too, right? When we help someone else, that should give us joy. When we help someone or something else like a dog, that should give us joy. We forget about that when it becomes our career becomes our priority, our family becomes our priority. At that point, that helping someone else becomes secondary. Mm-hmm. So when we like you had mentioned, once we've at 45-ish, we've accomplished our career, we've accomplished money in the bank, we've accomplished the family. Now what do I do? You're like you say, you're going back to your roots, to what brought you joy in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, you've heard midlife crisis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not a crisis. It's an opportunity. You feel like there's something else, something more you want. Unfortunately, a lot of guys go directions maybe that aren't so helpful, and get into trouble, relationships, affairs, those kinds of things, because they're seeking. But they're looking out there when we already have everything we need right here, but we just forget. So we work so hard and we accomplish so many things that we forget just to be happy and have fun.
Wow.
It can be that simple. You can, what just, like I said earlier, what just lit you up as a kid? What sounds like fun? How can you do that and help somebody else?
Yeah.
That's cool as hell.
And it's not that difficult to do, but to see it and try it maybe makes someone uncomfortable because that's not their wheelhouse. That's what they're used to. Mm-hmm. So at that point, you're helping them a little bit of a nudge. Hey, look, why not try it and kind of see if that does give you that little bit of a satisfaction, that joy that you're missing in your life right now.
Yep.
Wow. And talk about your book. You talked a little about your book earlier, but what's your book about?
My book it's written from a guy's perspective. So ladies are not going to maybe appreciate it as much, but they'll see their man in there, right? So it's definitely a call to guys to learn how to be more vulnerable, just a little bit at a time. Like you can be so gentle with your dog when no one's around. Why don't you treat your neighbor the same way? Do as I say, not as I do type of thing that we live with. So the book is just a call to get you to look at a whole bunch of things and start to take responsibility for you.
Wow. It's amazing when you make it that simple. It's almost a book for women to get their men to help the men see what they can do differently.
Yeah, I believe so.
That's like a Jedi mind trick, Mike.
Thank you. I'm a sneaky bastard. But well, it's true though, because guys, we are where we are because of how we've been raised and how the stories we tell ourselves, and that we need to continue that. At the end of the day, it's just remembering who we are.
It's when you make it that simple, it's such a, if you want to call it, epiphany, to where it's not, we can live our lives. Why wait to 35? Why wait to 45? Why not do that even when we're in high school, elementary school, college? Why wait that long? I don't get it. I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Actually,
and do you want to make this change perception around to help women also with using a dog as a companion as a way to work that too? Or is that something that's, I'm going to focus on, this is my wheelhouse, I'm going to let someone else do that?
You know what? I'm open to helping whoever wants to go there.
Okay.
So, I actually have a guy's perspective, but I've been a quote unquote sensitive guy my whole life. So I was in healthcare for a long time, and I worked mostly with women, right? I was in the ERs. Most nurses are mostly women. So I was around mostly women for a long period of time. So I get them. I get them a little differently.
Yeah, and you communicate well, but you're helping someone, maybe a guy that's an introvert that does communicate well, now understand how to get the mindset there without having to do all the other work that they may not be comfortable with. That makes sense?
Yeah. And again, that's why it's just a little piece at a time. We think, oh my God, I have to do this gigantic deep dive into the bowels of what a dick I've been all my life. You don't have to go there. You just make one little shift, one little awareness, and go, oh yeah, I don't like that. What can I do about that?
You make it easy versus, for example, the stereotype of going to go see a therapist is I have to break everything down every time and sit there and use some tissue because it has to be emotional and has to be very dramatic. You make it very simple for a guy to understand how to get there without having to go beyond what they're made comfortable with.
Well, it's good. You got to push yourself a little bit in the comfort zone. But you don't have to go, like I said, you don't have to swing 180 degrees, because that never works, right?
No.
Yeah, I mean, if guys can open up to cry because there's all this shit inside they want to get out, fantastic. My most recent one in May, my little best friend died. My dog Darby.
Okay.
I bawled my eyes out. That dog was the catalyst for the most growth in my life.
Wow.
Yeah, he was my business partner. He's the one that got me to start this whole thing.
He'd give you the nod. You'd ask him, like, hey, how does this read to you? You're like this. Yep, go for it. Okay, good. Done. Ready to
go. Yeah. So this process is quote unquote simple, but not easy.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to get a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. And just to share, my wife wanted me to share, this is my last dog that I had that died of had cancer. So she passed away about 2 years ago. And that was probably the first time I cried in probably 10 years. My grandmom died, didn't cry. My dad died, didn't cry. But it's something where having that attachment, even though I didn't realize it, allowed me to go, wow, that animal helped me get through a lot of different things that I didn't even have to talk to about, but helped me get through things with my dog walks twice a day, with my dog runs, spending time with it. Me watching TV and her next to me, sitting there and just hanging out because she wanted to hang out with me.
Yeah.
So within 2 weeks, I actually, within 3 weeks, picked up another dog. I have her picture somewhere, Brandy, and then that she's my companion now too. So, and getting to that point too, when you lose a companion like that, what is and now your growth has come from that. What is the next step for a guy?
Oh God, great question. So
What's a healthy way to deal with it, or what's a way to continue that practice of being joyful and being clear, but now either without that same companion or different companion, or what's the process?
oh, that's great. So allowing those feelings to come no matter what they are. You know, we're not allowed to grieve
Mm-hmm.
in most of the society. You know, you buck up and you get on with your day. Well, man, stuff hurts. So it's okay. So I think that's another lesson our animals teach us as they're leaving us. It's like, hey, here's another opportunity. Here's another level you can get to.
Mm-hmm.
You let me go and you be sad as hell. You're going to hurt. You're going to miss me. But you use that. You use that to be better.
Wow. Wow. Do you recommend someone to get another puppy after that then, or be on their own for a while? Or what do people ask you when they say, hey, Mike, what should I do? I don't know what to do.
Yeah, a lot of people they don't want to feel that pain, so they want to run out right out and get another dog right away.
Mm-hmm.
I would say no. You know, let yourself be in this for a little bit. I think running out to another relationship, we do it with other people as well, right? We break up and we try to start something else because we don't want to have to feel that pain. Just let yourself be in it for a while, and then try and remember all the gifts your dog gave you.
Wow. Okay. I like that. And like even just talking to him, like, oh, my dog was doing that for my comfort. Thanks, Michaela. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, once you start to notice some of these things, you're gonna look at your dog and go, seriously? Wow.
Yeah. Well, here's one more treat for you today. Only one more though. I don't want to spoil it.
Exactly.
Mike, anything else I have missed that you like to bring up on your shows?
No, I mean, on my website, there's a link tree thing on there, and you can check out some of the stuff I've done. Each one's been a little different. I've met so many fantastic people who are out there trying to help others, and I can't say how grateful I am. Yeah, reach out if you have a question or a comment or, fashion tip. I don't care what it is.
No.
Yeah.
And in the show notes, I put all your links in the show notes. Still put it on YouTube and everywhere else we talked about earlier. It just getting people to understand, I think, is can we get to our place of joy no matter where we are in the world, what our financial status is, what kind of car we drive, and what kind of relationship we're in, if we have kids or non-kids, but be happy with ourselves.
I think that's the goal.
I think you made it easy for guys to get there from a guy perspective, or reversing it, having a book that women can get their guys to find their guy's perspective.
Yeah.
Too many words for me. I don't know what I just said. All right.
Yeah. However, I feel grateful and I'm happy, and I want others to experience that, and know that there's just a different way. There's just a different way.
Well, thank you, Mike. I'll end the show right now, but anything in my audience too, if you have any questions, just text Mike, email Mike. All links in the show, Instagram, Facebook. We'll probably end up doing a TikTok soon too. Probably, I'm not sure what he's going to do with that, but he's on board to help you figure out how to help you. All right. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, Tony. Have a great one. Appreciate you.
Thank you, buddy.